Arne Slot looks like he's bringing back the era of flying fullbacks. Otherwise, why else would the club be targeting Jeremy Frimpong and still showing strong interest in Milos Kerkez? Just like you, we've been wondering how our new manager plans to use these two exciting players as a fullback pairing. When you picture it, it's easy to imagine both of them flying down the flanks at full speed, which would be thrilling to watch, no doubt. But at the same time, it raises a few questions. What happens when we lose the ball? Could we end up in chaotic, end-to-end situations, almost like basketball games where we're constantly chasing the ball after every attack? That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. We picked up on a few things in our recent preseason games, meant in the final games of the season. And we also took a closer look back at that famous night against Barcelona to try and figure out how this potential fullback duo could really work next season. From how Arne Slot might create the perfect conditions for these two to thrive going forward, to how he could keep us stable at the back, we've got it all covered. So go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and let's dive right into it. Oh, and if you haven't already, we recommend checking out our videos on Frimpong and Kerkez. They'll give you a solid idea of what kind of players we're dealing with and how Slot might plan to use them. We promise you'll enjoy those. But for now, let's explore how the team could be set up to get the absolute best out of them in attack. One thing we've noticed in recent games is that Liverpool have been more patient during the build-up. The goal here is to create space for the fullbacks to break into. We actually explained this in more detail in our Frimpong video, where we even brought up an example from back in 2022 when Arne Slot was still managing Feyenoord. We'll go over it again but quickly in this video just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Against Arsenal, from a goal kick situation, you can clearly see how Konate and Van Dijk split wide around Alisson, with the Brazilian stepping in as a passing option during this deep build-up phase. At the same time, the double pivot players started off in central positions, staying close to each other. Further up the pitch, Arsenal had a numerical advantage on their backline, while Szoboszlai dropped deeper on our side. Our fullbacks also kept to their usual positions, staying deep and wide next to our centre-backs. So far, nothing out of the ordinary, right? But things start to look a bit different once the ball is actually played. The players begin to move the ball around inside the box, which is obviously risky, but there's a purpose behind it. It's meant to invite central pressure, especially with both of our pivots staying in that area. As the ball moves, the players start changing positions. Both Jones and Gravenberch keep shifting around, trying to find space and make themselves available. And that's exactly what Jones did. He found a pocket of space and received the ball. Saka, who was originally responsible for marking Robertson, ended up stepping to Jones instead, thinking he had a chance to win the ball in a dangerous spot. That's what we call baiting the opposition press, and it's exactly what we were trying to do. With Saka taking the bait, Robertson didn't just become the free man, but he also had loads of space to work with. That's because the central areas were congested, as Arsenal's players were drawn toward our double pivot. On top of that, Gakpo and Diaz were keeping their centre-back and right-back busy, which helped open up that wide channel even more. After keeping hold of the ball under pressure, and with Gravenberch already on the move and arriving into space, our two pivot players combined well to find the free man, in this case Robertson. From there, we're able to take advantage of all that open space, move the ball forward, and create a numerical advantage against the opposition's backline. This approach of inviting central pressure, using the keeper as an extra passing option, and then quickly combining to break into space is basically a way of creating a counter-attacking situation without giving up the ball or sitting back. It also puts our fullbacks in the perfect position to receive the ball facing forward, which makes it much easier for them to accelerate and attack the space that's been opened up. Now imagine having two explosive fullbacks like Frimpong and Kerkez on the pitch. Both players are known for their powerful ball carrying ability, as you can see from this chart. Yeah, good luck stopping that kind of artificial transition attack. Like we mentioned earlier, we already talked about this tactic when breaking down Frimpong's game, but now adding Kerkez on the opposite side brings a whole new level of unpredictability. It creates a double threat from both flanks, which makes it a nightmare for teams trying to press us high and aggressively. They'll have to think twice before leaving even the smallest pockets of space out wide. Of course, not every team is going to press us high, and even when they do, we won't always manage to play through their press successfully. Like we said before, it's a risky approach and can easily go wrong if we're not sharp. So what happens when we come up against a more settled defense, or when we've already managed to push the ball higher up the pitch? The first and most obvious answer is that one fullback pushes up, while the other stays deep or even tucks inside to act as a situational left centre back. Based on their profiles, it'll most likely be Frimpong who pushes high, with Kerkez slotting inside. Frimpong, with his smart and intelligent off-the-ball movement, can make both underlapping and overlapping runs around Salah's zone. That won't just help the Egyptian out, it'll also support Szoboszlai and actually give us more defensive balance. Let us explain how. A common tactic we saw this season was Szoboszlai making underlapping runs into the right half space, where he was often picked out by Salah's clever passes. By having Frimpong as a second runner in that area, Szoboszlai won't have to make those runs every time. He can alternate with the Dutchman, allowing him to conserve energy and sit deeper when needed, basically covering for Frimpong's advanced position. Now, keeping Kerkez deep would obviously limit what he can offer going forward. He's a player who likes to take on defenders and whip crosses into the box, so we'd be missing out on that threat. Plus, we still need to find out if he has the passing range to operate from deep and consistently help progress the ball from there. That said, he could still play a useful role by helping circulate possession in deeper areas, while Frimpong pushes high to hold the width or attack the half space. But what happens if both fullbacks push up at the same time? Frimpong, as we all know, often plays like a winger, and Kerkez also loves to drive the ball forward, providing overlapping runs or even drifting into the half spaces to get involved. Well, in the recent game against Brighton, we might have seen a glimpse of how both players could do exactly that when on the same pitch. Let us guide you through it. Take a look at our build-up shape in this sequence. It's not the usual 4-2 setup we saw throughout most of the campaign. Instead, you can see Gravenberch dropping in between the centre-backs to form a back three. This is actually one of the most common build-up shapes in modern football. It gives the team numerical superiority in central areas and helps overload the opposition's first line of press. On top of that, it also gives the fullbacks more freedom to push higher up the pitch. Now take a look at the positioning of both our fullbacks. In this sequence, both Bradley and Tsimikas were playing more like midfielders. If you fast forward a bit, you'll see them tucking inside even more. That movement eventually formed a diamond shape in midfield, which is designed to overload the central areas and offer multiple passing options. A structure like this can be especially useful against low blocks. When fullbacks make constant off-ball runs from those positions, they can drag opposition players out of place and help create gaps in the defensive line. Now obviously this setup can change depending on the situation. For example, Frimpong might be the one holding the width while Salah tucks inside, which actually makes a lot of sense since the Egyptian is much better at receiving in those central areas. But here's the big question. Doesn't using our fullbacks in such an aggressive way leave us vulnerable in transition? Well, of course it does. That's exactly why we went back and looked at that iconic night against Barcelona when Trent and Robertson were at their absolute best as flying fullbacks. Take a look at this moment. Van Dijk and Matip were the only two players in the first line of build-up. Trent and Robertson were nowhere to be seen in the frame. Then, out of nowhere, Milner dropped into the back line. He wasn't just offering a passing option, but was also helping to reinforce our rest defense structure. And once the ball was progressed, there was another key player perfectly positioned to protect us in case we lost possession. None other than Fabinho, who always seemed to time his interventions perfectly whenever we lost the ball. Now, if we project that sequence onto our current squad, there are two players who can take on Milner's role, not just bringing off the ball intensity and work rate, but also showing real tactical intelligence. Those two are Szoboszlai and Alexis Mac Allister. You could also make a case for Curtis Jones, by the way, although his passing range is limited compared to the other two. These players are capable of dropping into the backline, they've got the passing range to progress the ball from deep, and they've got the energy and discipline to provide defensive cover. That's what allows both fullbacks to push high up the pitch with confidence. So, as we've seen, using two attacking fullbacks like Frimpong and Kerkez could completely change the way we play next season. It adds excitement, unpredictability, and a lot of attacking threat. Problem is, it also comes with its own risks. The key will be finding the right balance, both in and out of possession. Can Arne Slot build a system that gets the best out of these two, while keeping the team defensively solid? We think it's possible, but it'll take smart coaching, the right support around them, and especially the arrival of defensive midfielder, who is not only technically secure, but also more than capable of covering spaces and timing his defensive interventions. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Slot should start both Frimpong and Kerkez together? Or do you prefer a more balanced setup with one attacking fullback and one who stays deep? And which midfielders do you think are best suited to provide cover when both fullbacks push forward? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and lets us keep making content like this for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.